A very cheerful good afternoon to one and all present here. Myself Aditya Singh, and I am student of Bachelor of Architecture, first year in GNDC School of Architecture. Today, we all are gathered here for an online expert lecture for students on energy efficiency in buildings. Now, talking about energy, it's a significant portion consumed by the buildings throughout their life cycles, from construction to operation and then demolition. They consume resources in the form of energy, water, materials, etc., and emit wastes either directly in the form of municipal waste or indirectly as emissions from electricity generations. The purpose of the Energy Conservation Building Code (ECBC) is to provide minimum requirements for the energy efficient design and construction of buildings. The code also provides two additional sets of incremental requirements for buildings to achieve enhanced levels of energy efficiency that go beyond the minimum requirements. Now, I would like to invite Professor Kanksha Sharma, Head GNDC School of Architecture, to welcome our esteemed guests. Please, ma'am.
Good afternoon all and welcome for our today's expert lecture, Energy Efficiency in a Building, presented by Engineer Mani Khanna. I just want to share a brief introduction about our presenter. He is a BEE certified ECBC Master Trainer, Green Rating for Integrated Habit Assessment Certified Professional, Indian Green Building Council Accredited Professional, Green and Eco-Friendly Movement Certified Professional, and Solar Photovoltaic Certified Trainer. He is working in Energy Conservation Division of Punjab Energy Development Agency, Chandigarh, handling projects related to energy efficiency in buildings. He is extensively involved in carrying out all the activities related to the implementation and enforcement of ECBC in commercial and residential building projects. He is graduate in Mechanical Engineering from Kurukshetra University and has done his PG in Environment and Sustainable Development from Delhi University. He has more than 7 years of experience in working on green buildings, ECBC building commissioning, energy and daylight simulation for national and international projects. He has organized more than 80 capacity building training programs on buildings, energy efficiency, and involved as ECBC Master Trainer in more than 40 training programs across India. He is associated with many societies like ASHRAE, ISHRAE, FSAI. He is one of the founding member of International Building Performance Simulation Indian chapter. He is serving extensive role as a zonal chair, North at ISHRAE headquarters, YEA chair in ASHRAE India chapter, secretary ASHRAE Chandigarh chapter, and FSAI Chandigarh sub chapter, life member in Indian Plumbing Association, etc. Sir, you really have a very wonderful experience. Now, without further ado, on behalf of School of Architecture, GNDC, I welcome Engineer Mani Khanna. Welcome, sir.
Right, ma'am. Good afternoon, everyone. And first of all, I would like to thank each and everyone for your participation in this difficult times that we are going through these days. COVID-19 has affected us a lot, and I appreciate School of Architecture Department, GNDC, Ludhiana, for taking such initiative and imparting such knowledge to the students so that they can aware about energy efficiency in the very first year of their architecture experience. So let's move and start with the presentation on the energy efficiency in buildings that we are going to present today. I'm sure you are able to see the screen.
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Right. So first of all, we need to start for the energy efficiency in buildings. So I see Dr. Arvind Dhigraji. Good afternoon, sir. And I again welcome each and every one of you. So let's start with the energy efficiency in buildings, which is talks about ECBC, Energy Conservation Building Code. In a single line, you can term it defined as it is a code which is specifically for buildings, and the target is to conserve energy in the buildings. This is all about that we are discussing in the next 1 hour, and we all know this is the situation that we are going through, and we are going through very difficult times where millions of deaths have been seen in India, and millions of deaths and many of the cases is increasing day by day in the northern India and across India as well. So we need to make the social distancing, we need to keep the social distancing and sanitize properly and to stay home as early as we can. We are discussing about buildings today. What is energy efficient building and why energy efficient buildings are required? This may be the question is with each and every student must have. Before directly jumping into the topic, I'll start with some of the facts which we all need to aware about it. There are some facts which is the impacts of global warming. We all know how the seasons are shifting, the weathers are shifting, the climate change is happening, the global warming due to the emission of carbon dioxide, CO2 emission to the environment. Another is the melting glaciers. I'm sure you have seen the recent news from Uttarakhand where we have seen the melting glacier, how it has affected the human life badly. And these are the environmental consequences. Unprecedented snowfall, excessive rainfall and floods. So 2 years back, there was a major excessive rainfall and floods in Kerala and Srinagar. And last year in 2020, it was in Mumbai, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh. So there are many states which have been affected with the excessive rainfall and floods. Another is intense heat waves. The outside temperature and humidity is increasing day by day. Outside temperature, ambient temperature is increasing because if we can consider 5 to 10 years back, it was maximum up to 30 to 35 degrees Celsius. But now these summers, even we feel that outside temperature is increasing up to 45, 48, even some of the days 49 degrees Celsius with more than 90% humidity. So which is very huge. And what is required for our thermal comfort? It is around 24, 25 degrees Celsius temperature and around 50 to 60% relative humidity. So this is what we required for our thermal comfort. And if the outside air conditioned temperature is degrading day by day, air quality is degrading, in addition temperature is increasing, relative humidity is increasing. So what happens is our thermal comfort in the external air temperature will not satisfy and we shall not able to stay comfort as a thermal comfort in the external conditions. Another major problem is the acute water shortage. You can see in major metro cities like Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, where there is no enough municipal water supply is available, and they usually provide and meet the water supply through the external water tenders. And we can see in the rural areas there is acute water shortage that we are suffering, and till 2040 India will one of the area dark zone where we need to protect water and maintain water efficiency at each and every area. So I am from Chandigarh. If you can consider it in Chandigarh or Chandigarh Tri-City, in Panchkula, in Mohali, even there is no more than 7 hours municipal water supply is available. So even in the developed areas, or we can say the major developing areas, where there are more such resources, more such potential to save, to generate, all such resources we have, but still we are suffering with the acute water shortage. Only 7 hours municipal water supply. Destructive wildfires. What we are doing, we are destroying our natural jungles and we are converting to the man-made jungle. Another major issue is the burning of crops. जो पराली की हम बात करते हैं, in the month of September, October, November, पराली in पंजाब, हरियाणा से जो पराली जलाई जाती है उससे एनवायरनमेंट कैसे डिग्रेड हो रहा है. Major is pollution from thermal power plants, because whatever the energy is being generated, it is majorly from the conventional resources, which are coal, natural gas and petroleum. And we all know whatever is being generated, it is around 50 to 60% efficiency and more than 30% carbon dioxide emissions to the environment, which is a major environment destructive phenomena. Burning of waste and crackers is another major issue. I'm sure you all have heard many of the state government have taken initiative during Diwali. They have released a notification to burn crackers only for 2 hours on this very special Diwali day, because all the state governments in India now have taken initiative to reduce the burning of waste and crackers, which may affect the air pollution. And in the air pollution, you can see Kanpur and Delhi among the 15 worst cities, and Mumbai being the 4th most polluted mega city, as is the study considered under PM 2.5 and PM 10. This is the condition, smoke condition, we have seen in Delhi NCR, in Mumbai, in Bangalore. The area which is very dense now, big in population, large population, major communities around, large buildings, tall buildings. There is no much space for the, we can say, for the ventilation or air passing through each and every of the buildings. Smoke condition is the smoke and fog. Fog is due to the low dew point in the weather, winter conditions, and smoke is majorly due to the pollution from the buildings, pollution from industries, pollution from transport, and pollution from various other resources which are generating pollution to the environment. This is very harmful for each and every human being. And we must need to consider what we need to know about it. The green areas, the landscape, we are going to forget. And we are forgetting each and every day. The green areas is reducing. We are cutting the natural land. We are cutting trees. We are destroying our natural land, and we are converting to the man-made land, which are concrete jungles, where there is complete buildings, no greenery. Everything, every building is consuming energy. And whatever the energy is being consumed by the buildings, it will also cause the carbon emissions to the environment. So whatever the buildings will consume, the means the demand is increasing day by day. Demand for supply of energy is increasing. So it means we also need to shift towards renewable energy or energy efficiency, which is the high time, because we know the buildings are increasing day by day. And under the Paris Agreement, Make in India mission in 2012, we have already signed an agreement where we have committed to reduce our carbon emissions by 35%. We know the environmental impact of COVID, and we know the other healthcare industry, how it has affected from coronavirus. But COVID has also given a great opportunity for sustainable development, clearer water and cleaner air. So there is a thought to implement. You can see before COVID and after COVID the situation. You can see the picture. It is of 20th of March and this is of 10th of April 2020, the last year, when the lockdown first happens and complete lockdown on 22nd of March. There was no buildings, no transport, no industries were running. Only few of the residential buildings when the people were stay at home. So it means the air quality index was reduced. Their air quality index was around 450 air quality index. And on 10th of April, it was gone up to only 15 air quality index. So you can see more than 20 times the air pollution have been removed. So they thought to implement what we are doing right now. We are consuming each and every resources. We are increasing, even in one home, we are increasing air conditioners. Each and every room we are going to provide air conditioner. For each and every individual, we are increasing the transport, e-vehicle, whether it is a two-wheeler or four-wheeler, we are increasing day by day for each and every human being, for every home. We are not much dependent upon the public transport. We are reducing the public transport system, and we are consuming each and every resources day by day. What the thing happening is, air pollution is increasing day by day. Outside air conditions is very harmful for a survival of human being. You can even understand during COVID, in the second wave in Delhi NCR, what is happening over here. Each and every family, more than 70% families are getting affected due to COVID. Because whatever the conditions, because we also need to provide ventilation during COVID. There is no need to block each and every area, every room to be closed and to run air conditioner. No, we need to provide the proper ventilation so that air quality should be improved and the proper ventilation can reduce the effect of the airborne disease that is coming from outside. The conditions are getting worse because of the environmental conditions is already worse there. So we need to give something back to the environment. This is a thought, and that time the environment, you can see the clearer sky, the cleaner air, and we were able to breathe the fresh air, clean air at that time when the air quality index was reduced to 20. Vision is to create a peaceful and sustainable earth which will give us strength for the future. Now the question is, what is designed, what is being designed right now, what we are consulting these days. Being an architect, we need to focus over the design part, how we can integrate the design approach with the other engineers like MEP consultants or the ECBC or the green consultants involving with the electrical, firefighting, and all. We need to create an integrated approach. What we are doing right now, it is a picture of Delhi NCR, where the major large buildings, large commercial buildings are being designed over there, just like that. And you can see the major areas when you enter Gurugram, there's a major buildings, tall buildings for dealer buildings, every building is glass buildings. And we need to understand, does this complete glass building is compatible to our environment or not? More than 90% of the glass is covered with the glass side, glass portion. And you can see here more than 80% of the glass is covered with the curtains during the daytime. If you can focus on the picture, more than 80% of the glass is covered with the curtains. Then what is the objective of putting so much glass? Why we are putting glass is the question. We are putting glass only to capture natural daylight from outside. To maximum capture natural daylight, we need to use glass, and that should not be more than 40% as per ECBC. ECBC defines your window wall ratio should be 40%. Window wall ratio means whatever the window area, glass area, to the ratio of the total wall area should not be more than 40%. And whatever is here, we are already consuming energy and we are already increasing the cost for operation of the building. Because whatever we are using this building, whatever designed and constructed, this is a complete facade, is a glass building. And first we have put the cost for putting glass. Then once the natural light is coming, instead of it, in addition, the solar heat gain is coming. To protect heat gain, we have put it over the shades, the curtains. The cost is also increased, and whatever the solar energy is being trapped, solar heat gain is being trapped inside of the building. We have put in the air conditioner. Again, the cost is increasing. So whatever the air conditioner is being installed, when we used to run to reduce and to remove the solar heat gain from inside to outside, the energy bill will be increased, because whatever and how many air conditioner will run, the electricity meter will also run, and electricity meter will give you the energy bill. This will also produce energy bill at a higher side. So overall, you can see the life cycle costing is increasing. We need to think over whatever the building is needs to be designed and installed. Here you can see is another good building, but there is another major consequences and another major fault is the individual air conditioner that have been placed. Individual air conditioner to each and every room. If there is no automation, it is increasing energy consumption, and again the energy bills are increasing. You can see how the copy paste system is being increasing day by day, year over year. The Western architecture that we are copy pasting over here in the composite climate, or even in the Delhi NCR condition where large building, commercial buildings are complete glass buildings. Again, the different climatic condition, Mumbai being the different climatic condition, again the tall buildings, glass buildings are being constructed everywhere. Kolkata, different climatic condition, again all tall buildings, commercial buildings, glass buildings. We are designing and constructing. So we need to think over it, and you can see the buildings are increasing day by day. Overall, total 33% energy is being consumed in the buildings only. Out of this, around 90% of the energy consumption is used in the air conditioning and lighting. In buildings, more than 90% energy is being consumed in the air conditioning and lighting part, where we need to focus major interest while designing and construction of the building. This is accountability. We know if a building is constructed one day, it will be last longer for more than 50 years, 70 years. Once a building will be designed and constructed, it will be stay as it is for more than 50 years, 70 years, and from the very first day, it will consume energy. It will start consuming energy. Energy bills will be producing. And if we can save 30 to 50% energy, we can implement energy efficient design and energy efficient technologies during the design and during the construction of the building, so that we can also move towards energy efficiency in the building sector. You can see across globe there are many codes, energy codes, which are mandatory in nature, voluntary in nature, and mixed approach. In India at that time, this is a picture from 2015, where there India comes under the voluntary approach completely. And many other states, many other countries, even they have mandatory, notified and implemented this code. Worldwide, it is a scenario. We need to implement such codes so that energy efficiency, they know the importance of energy efficiency. The other countries, the Western countries, the European countries, they know the German, Singapore, US, UK, they all are very much particular about the energy efficiency or renewable energy in the building sector. But what we are doing right now, we need to focus towards ECBC being a mandatory code set up by Ministry of Power and developed by Bureau of Energy Efficiency. Bureau of Energy Efficiency is the central nodal agency who is coordinating with the Ministry of Power, and their objective is to conserve energy in the buildings, whether it is residential or commercial or industrial. As per EC Act 2001, ECBC code was developed and launched in May 2007. And each and every government have taken initiative to amend this code as per their climatic conditions, temperature, requirements, and the scope, etc. So many of the states have already amended this code and notified to mandatory use of ECBC in commercial buildings. The objective I think already defined by Aditya for the ECBC. Objective is to provide minimum requirements for energy efficient design and construction of the building. At that level where we are designing and constructing the buildings, we need to raise the bar and we need to set a benchmark which would be defined as ECBC. It is not much critical. It is a very simple. The buildings are constructing earlier at that time and now again will be constructed at that time same. The building will be using for the same purpose. Earlier it was for hospital, again it will be for hospitals. Earlier it was for hotels, again it will be for hotels. The building functioning, the building requirements will be same for energy efficient design and construction of the buildings. We need to set a benchmark at that level where we are designing, like as we the complete glass facades, or we can say the red bricks, or we can say the conventional air conditioner or conventional building systems, appliances, and the glass which we are using, the single clear glass. These are the conventional resources. Irrespective of the conventional, we can use the double glass, which is the heat resistive glass. We can use fly ash bricks. AAC blocks, hollow blocks in place of red bricks. To reduce the heat gain, we can put the insulation instead. So these are the major requirements. We can use the 5-star air conditioner, 5-star labeling appliances in the building. So there are many such resources where we can implement energy efficient design and construction. It is applicable for connected load more than 100 kilowatt, contract demand 120 kVA, and conditioned area 500 meters square and above. It is commercially for, it is ECBC is majorly for commercial buildings. It is not for the private residential that are not covered by the code. Many of the buildings can cover like commercial buildings, malls, hotels, hospitals, educational, office, IT park. These are all covered under commercial buildings and they are a part of ECBC. This is the status of ECBC notification in India. You can see now around 60% of the states in India have already released a notification for mandatory use of ECBC in the commercial buildings which are having connected load more than 100 kilowatt and contract demand more than 120 kVA. More than 60% of the India's map is already notified, where Punjab, Haryana, Delhi is already coming under the mandatory notification. Some of the states like Madhya Pradesh and nearby states have already prepared the notification and it is under the cabinet approval. So it means these are also covered, the ECBC. It means around 80% of India's map is covered with the mandatory notification, whatever. And when you will design any building more than 500 meter square conditioned area or commercial buildings in Punjab, Haryana, you need to get clarification. You need to get certification of ECBC compliance from the ECBC professionals. You need to have, anytime you need, when you will design a building, when you will prepare a building plans, and when you will go for authority for approval of your building plans, you need to get your building plans certified. Get it certified from the ECBC design professionals. So you can see here the states, more than 15 states in India where ECBC is now mandatory. Punjab, Haryana, Karnataka, Rajasthan. Many of these states, Kerala, West Bengal, Uttarakhand. Another ECBC, it was launched in 2007 first. And now the further latest code, ECBC 2017, have been released by Bureau of Energy Efficiency for maintaining energy efficiency in the buildings for operation of energy efficiency. The vision is to create a net zero energy building for India. There is a response to the changes in building technology, energy saving and comfort for occupants. This is the objective for ECBC 2017. It is a latest code and it provides the requirements what are to be met while designing and construction of your buildings to maintain energy efficiency, to provide comfort for buildings, and to maintain the vision of energy, net zero energy buildings in India. It is a technology neutral. It says the integration of renewable energy. It defines the representative building typologies, different buildings, different scenarios, and different requirements to be met. Passive design strategies, like you need to provide, you need to make a better design which would provide the natural resources, where we can capture the natural light, the natural air for ventilation, natural light to reduce the artificial lighting, natural air to provide proper ventilation, cross ventilation provisions, and the natural sun where we need to provide the renewable energy sources from where we can generate energy in the building itself, and integration of those technologies which are energy efficient in nature. This is all about ECBC 2017. You can see the building typologies: hospitality, healthcare, assembly, business, educational. These are the various types of buildings which are covered and being a part of ECBC 2017. Indian climatic zone, India is already converted and divided into 5 climatic zones as per Ministry of Power. These are the 5 climatic zones: hot and dry, warm and humid, composite, temperate and cold. These are 5 climatic zones. India is completely divided into 5 climatic zones. Whatever, where we need to design and construct the buildings, we need to maintain a proper climate responsive building. We need to design a climate responsive building. I must encourage and emphasize upon we need to design and construct climate responsive building, irrespective if fort is at Jaipur and fort is at Mumbai and fort is at Chandigarh and fort is at Amritsar. If the same building would be copy pasted in each and every place and at the different climatic condition, your purpose will not solve to maintain energy efficiency. So, Punjab, Haryana, Delhi are covered under composite climate. Jammu, Kashmir, Himachal is covered under cold climate. Hot and dry is the Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh is covered under hot and dry. Temperate is covered under Bangalore, Hyderabad. And the warm and humid is covered under Mumbai, Gujarat, and Kerala, some of the areas which are covered with the coastal areas. ECBC 2017, these are 3 levels you need to maintain and achieve. There are 3 levels: ECBC buildings and ECBC Plus and Super ECBC. These 2 levels are voluntary in nature and ECBC level is the mandatory in nature. There are 3 levels. ECBC buildings can save 20 to 25% energy efficiency. ECBC Plus can save 30 to 35% energy efficiency. And Super ECBC building can save 45 to 50% energy efficiency while designing and construction of ECBC compliant buildings. So what we need to achieve, what we need to carry out the result, हमें निकालना क्या है? What is the last outcome? Last outcome is the EPI. EPI is the Energy Performance Index. Energy Performance Index is the annual energy consumption in kWh, in units, divided by total built up area in square meter, excluding parking. Annual energy consumption over total built up area in meter square, it will be EPI, and that EPI of the building should be close to 0. Whatever the EPI is close to 0, then we can say, yes, this building is net zero energy building. Or whatever the EPI is close to 0, we can say, yes, it is a near zero energy building. So this is our total objective and outcome from the energy efficiency point of view. Your EPI of the building should be close to 0 or equal to 0. If it is equal to 0, then we can say it is a net zero energy building. If it is near to 0, then we can say, yes, this is near zero energy building. So the question is what you need to do. There is another parameter which is ECBC-R. ECBC for residential buildings is also coming up. First part of this code is already notified, but it is voluntary in nature as of now. For each and every residential buildings is coming up. For large residential building, we know we are growing not horizontally these days, we are growing vertically. The talks we were discussing previously was 500 square yard plots, 1000 square yard plots, but today we are discussing about 2 BHK, 3 BHK, 4 BHK residential areas. So that code, which is Eco Niwas Samhita, ECBC-R, is launched by Bureau of Energy Efficiency. It is very much implemented. It is being implemented by many of the states, where Punjab is one of the leading states where ECBC-R is also being implemented. So development of Eco-Niwas Samhita was developed in 2018 and launched in 2018. It was developed by Bureau of Energy Efficiency in association with GIZ. It is an energy advisory body from Germany. And with the help of extensive stakeholders, Eco-Niwas Samhita was developed in 2016 and was launched on 14th December 2018 by Independent State Minister, Mr. R.K. Singh. Electricity consumption in India, we know the electricity consumption in residential sector is increasing, because if we'll design and construct 10 residential buildings, then we need to design, or we may get chance to design for one commercial building. So one commercial building is equivalent to around 10 residential building. We know around 33% of the energy is being consumed in the building sector, and out of that 75% of total in buildings is consumed in the residential sector only. So you can think about energy efficiency plays a major role in commercial and residential building to ensure proper natural daylight, natural ventilation, and to reduce solar heat gain in the buildings. To promote energy efficiency, we can develop and design ECBC for residential buildings. Whatever the design interventions for energy efficient buildings, your major point, so you can see whatever the shading, whatever the green area, how the hardscape area, whatever the glass is used, whatever the air conditioning system is used, how the design parameters is there. So you can use the open space. It allows occupants to inhabit outdoor space. District cooling system, at one place only we are providing one place only we are providing the air conditioning system, and from one system to all the building is providing air conditioning. Thermal mass, the wall and roof assembly, the sections, the night flush system, the solar thermal panels, solar PV systems, the winter sun, the summer sun, how it is affecting to the building, highly insulated envelope, whether it is roof or whether it is wall, and the another heat recovery ventilation. You can see natural ventilation, how it is being provided, the cross ventilation, the openable windows. Once the air will be entered, it will be crossed outside. Again, it will be the center space, the green area, and again it will be cross ventilation is being provided for cross ventilation and natural ventilation. Your question, basic parameters to follow, how to start for designing energy efficient buildings and green buildings. First, you need to set the orientation. Your building orientation in such a way that it should not face the major south or west direction, because in Punjab or Haryana, this is a region where the maximum solar penetration in the south and west direction. In south and west direction, we need to reduce the direction, the exposed area. The maximum orientation should be facing towards north facing. The maximum facade should be facing towards north-south direction. The window size and type, we need to provide only 40% window wall ratio. You can see here, whatever the window is being provided, there is a complete overhang in front of the windows. So window size should not be more than 40% window wall ratio, and it should be single glazed or double glazed glass. The U value, we need to provide a proper glass which should be allowed to enter natural daylight from outside. It should allow natural daylight to enter inside the building. The wall should be insulated. The glass should be UPVC frame, double glazed glass, and wall should be such like that. The brick wall, the cavity wall we can prefer, the AAC wall, the brick wall with insulation, and the RCC wall. We can use such type of systems. We can use such type of systems, and these systems should be energy efficient, and the whole assembly should be alike a way so that we can reduce the outside heat gain to travel inside the building. So we can maintain the cavity wall with insulation, cavity wall, air with cavity wall we can also provide, or we can provide cavity wall with insulation, brick wall with insulation, AAC wall, these are various types. And the glass, it is a glass example. This is a UPVC frame and double glass and single glass. Single glass is around 6 mm glass and double glass would be around 18 mm, where 6 mm front, 6 mm at back, and 6 mm is the argon gas filled inside the two of the glasses, which will act as an insulator, which will restrict the maximum heat gain from outside the building. The VLT, visible light transmittance, we should use those glass which shall capture the natural daylight from outside. We should not put the black glass, we should not put the major blue glass, the dark blue glass. Irrespective, we can use the light blue, the light green, and the light clear, or the tinted glass or the shaded glass we can put, so that the VLT, visible light transmission, we can capture maximum natural daylight from outside to inside of our building. Improve daylight, whatever the glass portion we need to provide with the overhangs, so that we can capture only natural daylight irrespective of the solar heat gain. Achieving thermal comfort, this is the area inside room. It provides the cooling, and the windows, whatever the windows will be open, it will be provided with the cross ventilation provision, and we can achieve the thermal comfort requirements even without any air conditioner. This is the improved natural ventilation. This is a provision. This is the cross ventilation provision. From one side air will enter, and on the other hand the air will leave out. So the air changes will happen, and there's a relative humidity will be reduced, and the air temperature will also reduce, because the air changes will happen, and improved natural ventilation can reduce the requirement of air conditioners in the building. This is the limit heat gains. So limit heat gains in the summer season and limit heat loss in the winter season. You can see the summer and winter difference. Whatever the windows, whatever the walls and roofs are designed and constructed, it should be proper insulated, so that outside heat should not be entered inside the building, so that whatever the temperature is maintained inside the building, it should not escape outside in the winter season. Integration of renewable energy system, because this is a very integral part to create a net zero, to create a near zero environmental conditions, to create a net zero buildings. We need to have renewable energy sources in place, so that we can also generate some energy in the building itself. We should not require outside energy from the grids or from the any other external resources. We need to provide renewable energy sources in the building itself. Now the question is, we will design whatever you say. Whatever you say, we will design the orientation. Whatever you say, we will design the window wall ratio. Whatever you say, we will design the vent and improve the natural ventilation. But what are the materials we need to incorporate in the building? This is the last part, and further we'll discuss about the case studies. Recommended building materials for the walls: the shading wall, the double brick wall, the cavity wall, the insulated wall, and the curtain wall. These are several parameters. Whatever we design, it is like this. Single brick wall, only 9-inch thick brick wall we are using. This is the U value, 1.78. U value means thermal transmittance. At what percentage from outside heat will enter inside the building? It means U value is 1.8. It means 1.8 times the outside heat is entering inside the building through the processes like conduction, convection, and radiation. These are three heat transfer modes. These are three modes of heat transfer: conduction, convection, and radiation. Conduction is through walls, convection is through doors and windows, and radiation is through direct sun radiation. It is entering through the glass area. So we are constructing the buildings which are worst in nature. 1.8 times the heat is entering to our building. What the ECBC says? ECBC says your U value should not be more than 0.4. 0.4 U value should be met. So what we have done is, in addition to this brick wall, we have used this fly ash bricks, and in addition to fly ash brick, we have used the insulation in addition, so that it can restrict the outside heat gain, so that our U value 0.39 would be achieved. This is a 3-layer structure. One is the single brick wall, second is the brick wall with ACP, aluminium composite panel, and third is the double brick wall. And these are the example what we can do to achieve 0.4, to replace the brick wall, red brick wall, with the fly ash or hollow brick or AAC block. In addition to it, we can place the insulation, which is around 2-inch 50 mm air insulation. This is how we can achieve the wall assembly. This is the pictorial view of the cavity wall with insulation. This is a RCC wall. This is a red brick, and in addition we have used the insulation. This is a complete panel we need to use to reduce heat gain inside the building. These are the several bricks, thermal insulated blocks, where the insulation is a part of the brick. AAC blocks, hollow block, fly ash bricks. These are the various insulation scenario.
Sir, what are AAC blocks?
AAC blocks is the lightweight autoclaved aerated concrete blocks. Autoclaved aerated concrete block, it is a lightweight in nature. It is a composite brick. It is a hollow in nature, and it you can see one AAC block is equal to the 8 red bricks. So whatever the U value, whatever the R value, basically resistivity value of any material of red brick is 0.8. 0.8 means 80% of the heat from outside to inside can travel. In AAC block, it is around 0.32. 0.32 means only 32% of the solar heat gain can travel inside the building. Rest we will restrict, where we can save around more than 40% solar heat gain inside the building with the help of these AAC blocks. Similar in nature, the hollow blocks are there, where the air cavity plays a major role inside of this block, and the fly ash brick, where the R value, resistivity value is 0.6, and hollow blocks R value is 0.45. So you can see, you can move forward from red brick to the fly ash brick. To further improvement, you can use the hollow blocks. For more further improvement, you can use the AAC block, and for more further improvement, you can use the thermal insulated blocks, where insulation is a part of that bricks. So these are the wall assemblies. Wall, you can see the cavity wall, the thermocol insulation, the glass wool, the rock wool, the puff insulation panels. These are the various building materials you can use. These are the AAC blocks with in front of the machine bricks, and the uh, insulation which is styrofoam in nature, styrofoam insulation that we have used in one of the building to maintain energy efficiency, to reduce solar heat gain inside the building. So whatever the assembly, whatever the cavity wall with insulation, whatever the thickness of that material is there, the less solar heat gain is there, and whatever the thickness and material would be, less resistance and maximum solar resistance will be, maximum solar heat gain will be entered inside the building. So we need to choose what are the best possible assemblies we need to go for. So we know we need to go for cavity wall with insulation or AC blocks with insulation. These are some of the shading portions, like the horizontal shading, jali based structure, the stepped shading, which can allow natural light to enter inside the building, irrespective solar heat gain will enter or trap inside the building. These are the major benefits of putting the overhangs, the jali based structure, the stepped shading, stepped horizontal shading. These are the areas which we can use to protect solar heat gain. For the roof part, we can use the flat roof. Majorly, more than 80 to 90% application, flat roof is being used in composite area, composite buildings. We are using the brickbat coba in the conventional practices over the RCC structure. We can, in addition, we can use the insulation over the deck and below the deck. Over deck insulation, where the are above the RCC level, and under deck is the below RCC level inside the false ceiling. And over the exposed roof, you can use the white tile or white paint. In addition, you can use the green roof in nature. Green roof, which is majorly used in the terrace gardens or the hotels buildings or the restaurants. There are many applications we can also use in the residential buildings for the organic farming, which can produce the farming, and we can reduce the solar heat gain which is entering to the buildings. Another is the white tile and white paint. It looks like this, and in addition we can also use the broken china mosaic tiles. SRI tile, which is solar reflectance index, which has highly resistance in nature, and it can reflect more than 95% of the solar radiations. And under the broken china mosaic tiles, it can reflect more than 40% of the solar radiation to the atmosphere. So these are the cool roof coating technology. This is a paint, white paint. It will be published over the white tiles or the surface which we have used, the red tiles, the red brick tiles that we have used for the exposed roof structure, and over the top of it we can produce the white tile or the white paint which can reflect more than 95% of the solar radiations. The SRI value should not be more than 0.96. Again, the glass, which is the single glaze or double glaze glass or high performance glazing, UPVC windows can use high performance single or high performance double glass. We can use the aluminium frame, we can use the UPVC frame, where the double glass is a part of it. And in addition, we can provide the shading, which is horizontal in nature, which is vertical in nature, and we can use the movable lowers or barriers. Whenever it is required, we can use the movable lowers or barriers. You can use this is another building, because we also had a question with some of the people in many of the another sessions. Why we are putting so much glass? Because we need to make the building. So that is why we are using the glass irrespective of the shading. You can use this building, you can see the building with the help of the artistic look, providing proper shading devices, proper shading with the help of the overhangs, with the help of recessed windows. We have used the artistic look, and it can provide the and it can serve the purpose to reduce the solar heat gain, and the building looks like this can help to achieve the ECBC compliance of the building. So this is how we need to produce the double glass, double glazed units. Double glass, how we are putting 18 mm glass, 6 mm gap, 6 mm glass with the help of the UPVC frames, external shading. In addition to the external surface, we can produce external shading, the mutual shading, the building design in such a way. So in these parameters, even for the building envelope only, we can save 18 to 20% energy efficiency in the building with the help of AAC wall, with the help of proper orientation, another brick wall with insulation, high albedo. Albedo is highly reflective, high SRI, white tile or white paints. Or we can use the roof garden, or we can use the roof insulation. The low U glass is the double glass with the help of proper glazing, UPVC frames and double glass. This is how we can save 18 to 20% only even in the building envelope. So for the lighting, we can use the LED lighting. In addition, we can use the sensors, occupancy, motion, astronomical sensors. We need to maintain the LPD, which is the lighting power density. For a 100 square feet room, the lighting should not be more than 100 watt. For a 100 square feet room, the lighting should not be more than 100 watt. So it means 1 watt per square feet is required to maintain the energy efficiency in the lighting. If we can use the complete double glass, if we can use the complete double glass, complete glass building, so we know the outside solar heat gain will directly enter and trap inside the building. We can design and building construct like this. The exposed glass is only in front of the non-occupied areas like glass, like the staircases, like the kitchens, washrooms, storerooms, which are non-regularly occupied. We can put the exposed glass only in those areas. And we can provide the shading devices in front of those areas where the regularly occupied space like the professor's room, director's room, HOD's room, or the principal's rooms in educational building. And in addition, we can provide the shading in front of the shading. We can provide so that whatever the design, whatever the building will consume, the solar heat gain will less impact to the building, less air conditioning will require, and lower electricity bill will be paid. So this is a sensible building design which can go a long way in reducing cooling load to a great extent. So there are many HVAC technologies as well, be star rated appliances, automatic controls, natural ventilation, and minimum equipment efficiencies like VRV, VRF, chillers, district cooling, radiant cooling, geothermal, boilers, earth air tunnel, many of the systems which are efficient in nature, we need to use like that buildings which are energy efficiency in nature. Now we need to go for HVAC like the chillers. These are the air cooled chiller or water cooled chiller, centrifugal chiller, which is for large commercial building like hospitals, like malls, like hotels, which is of large commercial building in nature, more than 2 lakh square feet. We need to provide such centralized air conditioning system where we can maintain, we can automate each and every point. If we can need to use uh, single use or double use air conditioner, or we need to provide the set temperature 24 degrees Celsius, some of the room have 27 degrees Celsius, we can directly maintain, we can directly automate each and every system from one centralized air conditioning so that our energy efficiency should be maintained. This is some such structure. We need to provide system like this, complete green area, grass area. In addition, we need to use only glass area as less as possible. It should only in front of the regularly occupied areas, and with the help of proper shading devices, minimum use of windows, centralized air conditioning system, proper natural ventilation, proper use of natural light. This is the ECPC compliant building envelope, which can promote the energy efficiency buildings. This is how the renewable energy integration, world's largest rooftop plant, it has Dera Vyas Amritsar, 11.5 on single rooftop. Parliament House, 80 kilowatt, 2.5 megawatt, Sidhwa Canal branch, Ludhiana. Green building rating system, there are 4 rating systems in India: Griha, IGBC, GEM and LEED. There are 4 rating systems. They are providing, GEM provides GEM 1 to GEM 5, Griha provides Griha 1 star to 5 star, and LEED and IGBC provides certified silver, gold, platinum. These are the 4 rating level where state governments are providing incentives for construction of green buildings. Even you can get 5% extra FAR, floor area ratio, for design and construction of energy efficient and green buildings which are eco-friendly in nature and which are energy efficiency, which are water efficiency, which are waste efficiency, which are materials efficiency, which are indoor air quality efficiency, and it would be innovation in respective of design and construction of the buildings. Some of the case studies I would like to show at very fast. We are running short of time. BISA is one of the buildings, Borlaug Institute for South Asia. It is at Ludhiana. It is one of such buildings designed by Department of Architecture, Punjab. Climate zone composite. It is at 2 floors, 55,000 square feet, connected load 400 kilowatt, ECPC compliant building. You can see the design, double glass everywhere, cavity wall with insulation, roof with insulation, every shading device is being provided, central air conditioning VRV system is provided, LED lighting with automation sensors, and central courtyards is being provided in the BISA Borlaug Institute for South Asia. You can see it is a hand-holding project with us. We have provided facilitation, we have provided technical assistance to this project, and we have saved 48%, more than 48% energy efficiency. You can see the EPI ratio 0.51. EPI ratio 0.51 we have achieved, and more than 48% energy we have saved in this building, which is huge, remarkable achievement for energy efficiency in buildings. Another is the Jang-e-Zadi Kartarpur. I'm sure you all are aware about it. When we travel from Jalandhar to Amritsar, in the right side, Jang-e-Zadi Kartarpur is a building, government project, 300 crore project, complete auditoriums with the centralized air conditioning, complete courtyard with the natural ventilation, outside assembly with the cavity wall with insulation, double glazed glass, and it is completely energy efficient and green in nature. You can see in the wall, cavity wall with fly ash, styrofoam insulation, heat reflective tiles, RCC. We have also given technical assistance to them from PEDA, and being an individual consultant of energy efficient buildings, we have maintained and we have received more than 60% energy efficiency in this building. Double glazed glass, UPVC frames, VRV system, LED lighting, transformer, power factor 0.96, acoustic auditorium with proper acoustic insulation, metering and monitoring, BMS system with complete metering and monitoring, Indra Paryavaran Bhavan. It is again a near zero energy building. It is one of the first net zero energy building in India. EPI of this building is around 5 to 6. And this building is integrated with solar panels, complete courtyard, natural ventilation, front complete the green trees, and the cavity wall with insulation, double glass, roof with insulation, and complete roof is integrated with the solar PV panels. So you can see this building has been constructed by CPWD and it is used by MOEFCC, Ministry of Environment and Forest Climate Change. The official of MOEFCCs are occupied and constructed by CPWD. Indian Habitat Center, it is a GRIHA 5-star rated building. Complete design, construction in such a way, national and international conferences are being held regularly. Hareda building, it is again a complete courtyard, central courtyard with a proper natural ventilation. Complete misting solution. In innovation in HVAC, misting solution is provided. Once a misting will be used at a ground floor and first floor, there is no requirement of air conditioning. We have sit over there and we have complete operational of our system from inside of the Hareda building. We have provided the technical assistance, integration of the solar PV panels, integration of the roof SRI tiles. You can see the glass placement. It is not at the same level of the building facade. It is external to the building facade. You can see the glass. You can see the building south part, the design and construction of the building in such a way that it is GRIHA 5-star rated building, and it is one of the near zero energy building. EPI of this building is 13.5. EPI, Energy Performance Index, EPI of this building is 13.5. And the last is the PEDA building, where we are sitting. We are sitting here. It is completely using natural resources, natural light, natural sun, and the natural air. With the help of natural air, natural cross ventilation is there, natural ventilation, natural light. You can see with the help of the proper shading, glass areas, we are capturing the natural light, and with the help of natural sun, there's a complete courtyard which is integrated with the solar panels, and we are generating energy in our building itself. And EPI of our building is 13.39. It is a B 5-star rated building. There is no air conditioner majorly in the complete building, complete seating. You can see here, these are the workstations. These are complete open in nature. There is no requirement of artificial lighting. There is no requirement of air conditioning even in this summer season. So way forward is the do follow integrated design approach. Owner, architects and all consultants, we all need to sit together. We need to follow the integrated design approach. We need to follow climate responsive buildings. We need to follow green building features in design and construction of every building. Implementation of ECBC in design and construction of upcoming buildings in the states as a mandatory requirements for every stakeholders, whether it is architects, builders, consultant and contractors should provide extending support to make climate responsive and eco-friendly buildings. So these are the benefits which are provided by the government. Punjab is providing 15% rebate in property tax for ECBC compliance, 10% extra FAR for green building, 100% exemption on building scrutiny fee for ECBC and green buildings. Development of state energy policy in process. In Kerala, state soft loans for construction. Telangana, state prioritized permissions. Rajasthan, financial assistance through SIDBI and ECBC implementation in MSME. Himachal Pradesh, 10% extra FAR. Gujarat, 50% on consulting charges assistance up to 2.5 lakh rupees. Haryana, 15% up to extra FAR on all types of certification. Pune, 10%. Noida, incentive on 5% extra FAR. So there are many such huge financial incentive. Government is already taking initiative. So I am encouraged and I motivate each and every one of you who are participating, and I must oblige if you can motivate and encourage each and every friend of yours in the architecture side or in the building industry side. There are many incentives. You need to design and construct energy efficient and green buildings so that we can also provide a bit to the environment and we can save energy, we can construct energy efficient building. We need to learn from the past. We can see the Hawa Mahal. It is more than 100 years. As it is no air conditioner, no lighting, as it is the Taj Mahal, Charminar, or many such historical buildings or historical monuments. This is the Amer Fort. This is the another historical place at Hyderabad. We need to go for large or cavity wall with insulation or many such systems that we have discussed so far. We need to integrate proper design, proper integration of green, ventilation and use of natural resources. Objective is to save our planet, to make eco-friendly and environment responsive buildings which are energy efficient and green buildings. So set AC at 24. Yes, summer season is coming up, but yes, again due to COVID, when there are no major industries, no major commercial buildings are running, we are feeling comfortable at our homes and stay at home, but not used to set AC below 24, set AC at 24 degrees Celsius, take pledge. It is a campaign which is running by ASHRAE, which is running by Ministry of Power. A target is to reduce the energy consumption. If you can use 1 degree raise in temperature, you can save 6% in your electricity bills. So save temperature, save in temperature and save in electricity bills and maintain energy efficiency. So there are 17 development goals, sustainable development goals across globe we are working on, and out of 17, 9 goals are being achieved by the green buildings, energy efficient or environment responsive buildings only. So this is a major achievement. If we can raise our thinking, improve our thinking, we need to improve our building plans, we need to integrate energy efficient design, and we need to go for certification of the green buildings. We can definitely achieve a lot because we need to be responsible. The earth doesn't belong to us. The earth doesn't belong to us. We belong to the earth. This is a major quote by Chief Settle. Save earth, save life, save planet, save water, save energy, and save waste. Because the future ends with us. Thank you very much for your kind attention. And I'm sure you will definitely accept those learning from this session today and implement in your future projects. Thank you very much.
So that was undoubtedly a very wonderful lecture, and I'm sure that our audience present here would have learned a lot. Now, audience can ask questions to clear their doubts.
Good afternoon, Khanna sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Sir, I have a question. Sir,
Please.
like you said that there are four institutions which rate the buildings. So
Yeah.
isn't ECBC also rate like ECBC, ECBC plus,
No,
and
no,
ECBC?
ECBC is mandatory. ECBC is anyhow mandatory. It is to be certified by the state designated agency like PEDA in Punjab, HAREDA in Haryana. ECBC is not a voluntary code.
Okay,
Green building is still a voluntary. But as far as green building is concerned, government is providing extra FAR incentive.
fine.
ECBC is a mandatory approach. It is being implemented by the state designated agency. PEDA is taking already initiative to mandatory notify this code, and it is certified by empaneled ECBC design professionals which are there in the state. Empaneled ECBC design professional, your building will only get certified or your building will only get approved from the Department of Town and Country Planning if it is ECBC compliant, or if it is having more than 100 kilowatt connected load, it should be ECBC compliant. Otherwise, your building plans will not approve.
Fine, fine. And sir, one more question. Like, as an architect, we understand the significance of designing building envelope.
Yeah.
But as per Bureau of Energy Efficiency or as per ECBC, like
Yeah.
how do you rate the the basic four building systems that ECBC has defined, which include building envelope, which include renewable systems, which
Yeah.
include electrical and HVAC. So
Yeah.
what is the hierarchy as per ECBC? Like we understand that as an architect, मुझे तो building envelope पे ज़्यादा focus करना है. But
बिल्कुल.
आपके according, how do you sequentiate these four systems?
No, there are, I already mentioned about the integrated design approach.
Okay.
Integrated design approach is means you as an architect and the mechanical systems is being provided by the mechanical engineer or the HVAC consultants. The lighting system or electrical provisions are being done by the electrical consultant. ECBC and green building provision to be done by the ECBC and green building consultants. The firefighting and another provision to be met by the respective consultant. So an architect shall not meet each and every point of the others concerned. Architect may be responsible for the design part only. For the implementation, the client should also be aware what needs to be done and what is already being planned. So all architects, MEP, ECBC, green and fire, we all need to create an integrated design approach. We need to all do meetings starting from the very first day of this design or planning of any building. We need to sit together. We need to finalize each and everything so that further when it will be designed and the construction will be done, it will be implemented in such a way that we need to follow all the parameters that have been mentioned, whether it is in ECBC, whether it is on green buildings, or whether it is in net zero energy building. We all need to achieve, we all need to target for the energy efficiency or green buildings.
Fine, thank you, sir. I invite questions from other participants also. If you have any doubts, you may ask.
Sir, we have a question in chat box that what angle of solar panels are to be installed, or what angle do we install the solar panels?
Yes, the solar panels are to be installed at the angle of latitude angle of any particular area, because every city or every state may have some difference in the latitude angle. So whatever the latitude angle of that space, we can modify plus minus 2 degree and we can install our solar panels in with respect to the latitude angle. So maximum in most of the time it is around 18 to 22 degrees, 22 degree inclined in the and it is facing towards south direction. Maximum it should face the south direction, because we know the sun travels from east to west facing towards south, and it requires, and it will give us the maximum penetration of the solar and maximum generation of the solar energy, and it should be inclined towards 18 to 22 degree.
Sir, how
I
much
have a
energy?
question.
Yeah.
Sir, one solar panel can give how much watt of energy?
Not one solar panel actually. We need to go for 1 kilowatt. We need to discuss for the start from 1 kilowatt. 1 kilowatt solar panel can generate 4 to 5 units in a day. And 1 kilowatt solar panel for an year period of time, it can save around 10,000 rupees for an energy consumption. 1 kilowatt solar panel can generate 4 to 5 units in a day. 4 to 5 units, and 4 to 5 unit means around 40 rupees you can save in a day, and around 300 days you can generate electricity through the solar panels, because rest of the days can be the winter season or the rainy seasons, or we can say the cloudy seasons. Only 300 days we can consider for the solar PV generation. 1 kilowatt can generate 4 to 5, and 4 to 5 units can save 40 rupees per day, and 300 days can save around 10,000 rupees in an year.
Okay, sir, thank you.
Sir, I have a question that how can we use the renewable source of energy with cost efficiency in architecture so that even a common man can afford it and save electricity and other resources?
Right, because I already mentioned whatever the roof area or non-roof area we have with us, when the building is going to be designed, we need to provide the area should be for this renewable energy system, whether it would be geothermal energy, whether it would be the solar energy, or any other biomass we can use to generate waste to energy or energy generation through renewable energy sources. Whatever the area, roof area, we can start from the rooftop solar panels. Whatever the area is available with us, roof area, we need to go for solar panels installation. Definitely. Because whatever the energy is being consuming in the building, it will be compensated by the energy generation through the solar panels we have put it over the rooftop. I have already mentioned, if you can generate or if you can install 1 kilowatt solar PV system, it can generate 4 to 5 units in a day. So you need to check and calculate, if my building is going, if my building is having 100 kilowatt connection, electricity connection, 100 kilowatt connection, and my building is going to consume 1 lakh units in a year, and I have to pay around, for 1 lakh units, around 10 lakh rupees I have to pay to the electricity department. Every year you need to pay 10 lakh rupees electricity department, irrespective to give 10 lakh rupees to the electricity. You can generate or you can install solar PV panels over the rooftop so that you can generate that much electricity to compensate 1 lakh units, and you can reduce your electricity bill from 10 lakhs. Maybe your electricity bill may reduce to the 4 lakh or 5 lakh rupees. Whatever the 5 lakh is whatever the 5 lakhs expenditure have been given in the solar system generation, it will be covering within 4 to 5 years, and your system will be last longer for more than 20 years, 25 years. So it will be just like an, you can say, investment for you. Being an architect, if you can suggest your client, because your client must be satisfied. Even you are satisfied, it will not serve the purpose. Your client must be satisfied because they need to satisfy with the monetary benefits. What are the financial benefits will be? I have already mentioned you 1 kilowatt solar PV, and whatever the roof is available, 100 square feet will will be able to install 1 kilowatt solar PV system. 100 square feet area of the roof can able to install 1 kilowatt solar PV panels, and you can estimate whatever the roof area is available with you, you can go for maximum of the solar PV systems, so that it can also reduce the electricity connected load. It can also reduce your electricity bills, and after 4 to 5 years, your complete expenditure, or it will be worked as an investment on your building, and you will save electricity. You can save in your electricity bills, and you can save your investment over the next 20 years, 25 years. These are the monitoring benefits. Thank you.
Sir, I have a question.
Yeah.
Ashwin from Architecture Department.
Yeah.
So just wrote it. So it was reported back almost a decade back that material used for solar panels, that is PV panels, they are non-recyclable ever be subject, and they are posing a severe impact on the environment health. So, do we see any alternative in future? Do you expect? Well, you are the expert, that's why I'm asking.
No, actually, basically, the state government or the central government is already taking initiative to completely demolish the already existing solar panels, whatever with us. There are two technologies majorly we are using. We are polycrystalline using and monocrystalline. These are two technologies only we are using as of date, and it can provide maximum 16 to 18% of the efficiency. Solar PV panel manufacturing is also increasing day by day, and the technology is also increasing. Nowadays, technology is even enhanced. We are getting more than 20%, more than 24% efficiency through solar panels. And the solar panels are being a policy which have been released during the budget 2021 in the month of February by the Finance Minister, Ms. Nirmala Sitharaman. She have already released the notification in respect of the solar industry or the renewable industry. For the energy ministry have already taken initiative to demolish all the existing solar panels once it will be required, because whatever happens after 15 years, 20 years or 25 years, when the solar panel life is going to be completed, it used to be demolished, and further with the help of some renewable system or reused those materials, we can construct or we can manufacture new technologies with the help of latest technologies and the best possible efficiency of that solar panels that we can use. So in that way, government is also working on it. We are also promoting from the polycrystalline to the monocrystalline. We can also go for thin film solar based systems. It can also use in place of the building glass, building facade glass. In replace of the building facade glass, we can also go for thin film solar PV system, solar PV glass, which can generate energy, which can restrict the solar heat gain which is entering to the building, so that we can also get and take double advantage by using thin based solar PV system, solar PV glass based system in front of the building facade or in place of the current existing conventional glass to the solar PV, BIPV, we can say building integrated photovoltaic we need to go for. So these are all alternatives that we need to look at it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And I would really like to get on in detail with you about how they're constructing the complete solar panels, but not here since we might be going off topic. And I've also heard that the scientists are constantly working to, reduce the negative energy balance for the solar panels. So when the sun is not there, and to have energy to the utmost level. And next year, I would really like to congratulate you on fabulous lectures. And I was going through many slides, and they're quite much in detail. So thank you for enlightening our students for that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much for all of you for your presence. Thank you.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, is it necessary to install solar heat gain coefficient glass with, sir, is it necessary to install glass with higher SHGC if windows are
Lower
shaded with
SHGC.
trees?
Yes, definitely. If you are designing and constructing ECBC compliant building under the ECBC, it is not mandatory. You can also go for single glass with the shading, with the horizontal shading or vertical shading. You can also go for the double glass with the help of the shading. You can also play a whole building simulation approach. There are other alternatives as well for the ECBC compliance. You can also use the software-based simulation approach, which is on eQuest. We are using on Design Builder. We are using Energy Plus and many other software on the energy performance simulation, where we need to carry out and we need to select. Yes, I can add insulation to the wall. I can add insulation to the roof, but I can't add double glass to the roof to the wall. What happens? Whatever one parameter is going down, we need to make other parameter up, like in the air conditioning. In the air conditioning, if ECBC talks about three-star air conditioning system, we can go for 5-star. So one parameter is up and one parameter is down. If we are going to compensate one parameter to the other, then it is okay. If you are not compensating one parameter to the other, then definitely you need to meet the SHGC requirement. Whether it may be go for single glass, whether you may go for double glass, it is only required to meet the ECBC requirement, which is SHGC 0.25. Whatever SHGC is lower, as many as SHGC is lower, your building glass would be more efficient. SHGC solar heat gain coefficient. जितना बाहर की heat को कम gain करेगा, उतना ज़्यादा efficient होगा. So it definitely defined SHGC as lower as SHGC, so glass is more efficient, and your solar heat gain would be less entering to the interior part of your building.
Thank you so much.
Sir, we have a question that if you are talking about the buildings in the past, like Taj Mahal, Hawa Mahal,
Yeah.
so they were having natural airflow.
Yeah.
So if we have to replace the air conditioning, which is of course with the natural flow of air. So
Yeah.
from how or from which direction we could install the whole natural air supply in the whole construction or in a house or in any building.
Actually, we need to provide the cross ventilation provision once we design the building. Whatever the air will flow from one side, it will pass to the another side, which can create air changes per hour. As per the NBC, I'm sure you have heard about NBC National Building Code of India. We need to change our air changes per hour, which is 30 air changes per hour as per NBC. We need to achieve and maintain as a mandatory guidelines when you will design and construction. But many of us being an architect or being an engineer, we don't follow these rules. We are designing and constructing hotels. All four sides are complete block. There is even no provision of the windows, openable windows. Even in the residential homes, what we see today, all the residential homes, big large glass and complete blocked glass are being provided. Why? Because when if it is at the north side, then it is okay. If it is at the south or west side, it must be a big blunder, because complete solar heat gain is directly entrapped inside the building, and there will be no provision for even there will be no provision to escape that hot air from the inside the room to the outside, because there is no provision of even windows. There must be a complete provision of the cross ventilation that I must remember again. We need to provide the provision of the cross ventilation. Whatever the building will be designed, the glass should be openable. Whatever the glass is being provided in the south or west area, and that glass maximum it should be the shaded in nature, whether it is the horizontal shading, whether it is the vertical shading, so that we can maintain our air quality. And in the second portion you say, irrespective, in replace of the air conditioner, what we need to go for? We need to go for those systems which are non-refrigerant in nature. Like you have heard about radiant cooling, you have heard about geothermal cooling. In the large commercial building where there is a provision, we need to go for geothermal cooling, where we can use the free air which is available inside the earth, 5 meters below the earth. There is a constant temperature which is available throughout the year. We need to pump it out and supply and extract again in the earth, and again we need to extract it with the supply pump, and we can supply the free air. That's a free air cooling system. There is no use of refrigerant, so that non-refrigerant system can also play a big role in energy efficiency, because non-refrigerant, it will not carbon emission to the environment. It will not abate carbon emission to the environment. And in addition, you can also, for the residential building, many of the buildings in Chandigarh Tri-City have already gone for radiant cooling. I'm sure in Ludhiana as well, it is also radiant cooling is one energy efficient solution, where you can cool the surface irrespective of the spreading conditioned area to the building. You can cool the surface, whether you can cool the wall or the floor or the ceiling. So whatever the hot air to be passed from the outside, it will directly get in touch with the cool surface that we have maintained it through cool pipes. I'm sure you have heard about the, whenever we will discuss about HVAC in detail, or whenever discuss about another non-refrigerant cooling techniques in detail in the further session, I'll deliberate more on the further non-refrigerant techniques or energy efficient cooling technique which are there. We need to go for such systems which are energy efficient in nature. And yes, definitely in any of the rooms, in any of the building, we need to go for openable windows, and we need to go for cross ventilation, which can play a major role as a natural ventilation and can reduce the requirement of air conditioning systems in the buildings. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Khanna sir. We are really obliged that you have accepted our request to enlighten our students of GNTC School of Architecture. I have been closely associated with you for the past many years. I have attended your sessions. I have, I have been one of the, speakers also with you in one of the sessions. What I have observed is, like, you have deliberately, mended this presentation for the students. Like, you have been training the trainers in the past, and you have done this deliberately so that our students can get benefited out of this. and you have been a very humble personality, and you have been very patient, in answering my students' silly questions. So we are really, really thankful to you, so that you have attended this session and you have enlightened all of us. Thank you so much, sir. And we are looking forward to host you physically in our school whenever the things get, conducive for physical classes. Thank you so much, Khanna sir. Thank you.
Sir, it has been a very wonderful event, and I thank everyone for joining this session, and I especially thank Mani Khanna sir for such an entertaining and such a informative presentation which have been shown to us. Sir, see you next time. Till then, it's a goodbye from our side. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.